All right, guys, so we're moving right along here. We have Virgo and Libra left. So Virgo, this week from Late Vampire, you pulled the monster within, internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve, which is great, but what I worry about is perfection. Now, the monster within, the blessing here says that knowing your own faults and flaws can give us the tools to transform them into strengths, which is great. Working with this card says if you begin to practice discipline each day and create new ways of dealing with frustrations and difficulties, you will find your so-called negative traits can be reshaped and who you are will be redefined. Changing yourself is a great purpose. Definitely if you feel like there are things that you're wanting to improve about yourself, but what I worry about with Virgo is perfection. Perfection is synonymous with Virgo anyway. But the problem is, are you being too hard on yourself and seeking this? Now, perfection, the inspiration says, are you being too hard on yourself and consequently on others? Begin to look for what's right and good in your world and you will see it. The very first quote for this card says, I have the same high standards for myself as I have for others. But there may be a reason why there's those high standards. I do question sometimes when the monster within shows up on whether or not this was something that was put on you by somebody else. But there is nothing wrong with wanting to improve who you are, right? But if you feel like, there are things that you're wanting to improve because of what other people think, then, that's kind of where I worry with perfection being there. Now, the personal question. Where am I presently focusing? Knowing what's right and telling others about it may not be the best way of being. The key ideas are alienating others, feeling alienated, seeking perfection, deeply desiring love, and transformation ahead. So definitely there's going to be some transformation on your so-called negative traits, but I wonder how many of those negative traits you actually have. All right, Virgo, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. The Queen of Swords. Oh boy. You and Leo. But Leo had this as a past coming through, the Queen of Swords. Now, for some of you, I feel both. You may be dealing with a person here, and you're looking at air signs with the Queen of Swords. But, on the other hand, I feel like for some of you, the energy that may be surrounding you is a harsh one. The Queen of Swords isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is somebody who is thinking logically and cutting through the bullshit and getting straight to the point. That's who she is. But it's also suggesting the difficulties that have been faced in the past that determines the way that she acts in future conditions. I've always said that with the Queen of Swords. She understands life through difficult experiences. And that definitely may be the energy that's surrounding a lot of you, because I feel both. I feel like dealing with a person that is difficult to deal with, but then also, you being harsh. But I worry about how harsh you're being on yourself, and then again, of course, on other people. But we'll see how this Queen is playing out here. Now, in the past, the Two of Swords, so needing to make a difficult decision, but have you done it is the question immediately. When you're looking at the Two of Swords, the reason why they tell you that when you decide you need to act immediately is because otherwise you just stay in that stalemate. It's knowing the situation, knowing what you need to do, but the decision that has to be made is going to be a difficult one, and you may be choosing not to do it. On the other hand, for some of you, you're just guarding yourself emotionally, and it's doubled with the Queen of Swords. And in the present, what is with all the sword energy, the Page of Swords? Man. Now, I worry if you're dealing with a person that they may be communicating in a way that is not very truthful. I always have a question of the Page of Swords on whether or not, the truth is being told. Not with the Knight, only the Page. It is the messenger of conflict. It is the shit that you don't want to hear, that you don't want to deal with. It can also suggest that, whatever situation you're dealing with is plagued with conflict. When you're looking at it as far as, the action you need to take, if you're dealing with a lot of conflict, especially in terms of communication, you're going to have to be on your toes, so to speak. You're going to have to think clearly here. It's asking you that, you act in a way that is intelligent and truthful. But, immediately what I feel like is dealing with a situation where there's a lot of conflict surrounding it and not wanting to make a decision. and the difficulty in making a decision, maybe because of the conflict, and it could be surrounding a person specifically. Sorry, guys. Now, oh shit. Future conditions, death. So, needing to go through that major transformation, right? And the monster within and perfection, I mean, both of them. Now, with death showing up, though, it is the ending of conflict. It is done with. It's over with. It's closing the door on that. Whatever conflict you've had regarding a person or a situation, it's over with. It's the reason why they call it the ending of an era, right? It's over with. You're opening up into, a new beginning here. But when death shows up, you don't have a choice. It's going to happen. You can either go through it kicking or screaming, or just accepting it and dealing with the changes that come, right? But, the conflict is definitely going to be over with, a definite ending. And, it's something that probably should have ended a long time ago, to looking at death coming through. It's a good thing it's not the Ten of Swords, and I swear to God, I better not see that. But, the conflict surrounding whatever situation is going to be over with. But it's only going to be over with when you make a decision, though, I feel like, with the Two of Swords. Your best path to follow, truth. Needing the truth, having absolute clarity, and again, cutting through the bullshit with the Queen of Swords. But then again, having truth out of a situation that, may involve dealing with a person, though, too. But the Ace of Swords, again, regardless of whatever conflict is surrounding you right now, it's telling you need to think clearly. You need to think clearly and logically, so that you can make the decision that you need to make. But, ultimately here, the truth is what's going to be the most important. Okay. Now, with the pages, I kind of felt immaturity. When you're looking at the Page of Cups, especially connected to the Page of Swords, this is somebody who may be emotionally immature. And they may not be communicating their emotions in a very, clear and decisive way if you're dealing with a person here. Now, on the other hand, when you're talking about you guarding yourself emotionally here with the Page of Cups in your environment, it's talking about emotional expression. Needing to express your emotions in a way that is truthful and clear. But I feel more so that this is going to have to do with a person. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. So now, looking at it this way, if you're dealing with a person, they're having difficulty in deciding on what they need to say in regards to their emotions. They're not communicating it in a way that is coming out very clear. And that may be why you're needing to seek truthful clarity here. And again, whatever it is that they communicate in terms of their emotions, there's a difficult decision that needs to be made on your part, though, as well. This person may be plagued with conflict, but then on the other hand, it's like immaturity when it comes to emotions, and not speaking them in a truthful way. Especially if there's an emotional offering that's being made to you by somebody else, Your hopes and your fears, the Nine of Cups. Yeah, so for some of you, it's about needing truthful communication when it comes to emotions, because ultimately what you're wanting is to have, your wishes fulfilled here and happiness with the Nine of Cups. But, again, when it comes to the Nine of Cups, right, are you going to be happy with, what you receive? Right? When you finally get what it is that you want, is it still going to satisfy you? Do you have unrealistic expectations when it comes to a person, especially a person and their emotions? But ultimately, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at there needing to be truthful communication between the pages, and specifically about emotions and the way that you feel. The conflict needs to come to an end. Whatever painful things that you've been through in the past, or whatever you're dealing with in terms of a person and a lot of conflicts surrounding them, death is saying it has to be over with. The communication of emotions needs to be truthful, no matter how you look at it, whether this is you or the other person here. there needs to be that communication of emotions, you know. But I worry, though, that somebody is not being very truthful on the way that they feel, though, either. You know, I worry about that with the Page of Swords. But again, with the Nine of Cups being in hopes and fears, it's, you know, about getting what you want. You know, finally receiving what it is that you want, especially emotionally, you know, and having your wishes fulfilled. But it's only going to happen when, you know, there's that transformation happening and the ending of conflict. And then the outcome, the Three of Wands. So for some of you waiting to see how things are going to develop, especially when it comes to, you know, the major transformation that's happening, the ending of an old way of being, or the ending of, you know, old situations within a relationship with a person. You know, it just depends here. When you're looking at the Three of Wands, it's saying that, you know, the action that you took, you're waiting to see how it's going to develop later on. Okay, so, you know, just what I feel like from looking at the clarifiers here. You're done. You're done with conflict. You're done with conflict, especially in regards to emotions and the emotional experience that you're wanting. Looking at the Nine of Cups. Now, again, with the Knight of Cups, right? Needing to see actions, right? Like talk is cheap here. But it's also about accepting or, you know, giving an emotional offering here. Now, when you're looking at the Five of Cups next to the Knight of Cups, it just, you know, it's like, it's not what you thought that you were going to receive. You know, I more so than hurt emotions, what I'm looking at is somebody who is too focused on, you know, what they don't have rather than what they do have. You know, so it may be that whatever emotional offer is coming through here just isn't enough. It almost has a Four of Cups type of feeling, but it's almost worse. You know, again, feeling emotional, just like suffering and blah at the same time. But then, you know, with the Fool being there, I worry that for some of you, you're having faith in a situation here because of death being there, which is great to see, but it's also saying that you need to start taking a new path here. And that may be where you're starting to see how things are going to develop. You know, it just depends. But, you know, with the hurt emotions around, you know, emotional offerings here, I mean, between the Page and the Knight, you know, I worry. I worry that, you know, you're not... With the Page of Swords being there, it's like you're not truly getting what you wanted ultimately in the end. And it's like you need to start making the decisions to take a new path. And I feel like you do. And it's just waiting to see how things are going to develop. The other thing is, though, too, for some of you, you may be waiting forever for things to change. You know, looking at death and the Three of Wands coming out, it's like, oh my God, you know. Now, again, with the Fool being there, I don't think that... I worry that for some of you, you may have a little bit too much faith in somebody who has too much conflict surrounding their emotions. But again, looking at the Three of Wands and the Fool, it's funny because I relate the two because of the cliff and looking out over the cliff, because both of them, right? The Three of Wands, you should already know what to expect. The Fool is saying that, you know, you need to jump in with a clean slate. It's needing to have faith in, you know, what develops basically between the two, despite the fact that, you know, there may be some emotional suffering, because the Three of Wands to me, again, is saying that you took action. Like you took action here. You know, I almost worry that maybe some of you get rejected after making an emotional offering, and it may be because that there's too much conflict surrounding a situation. But for some reason, you know, I still feel like I need to have faith in this, you know. All right, Virgo, we're going to take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. In confidence, yes, needing to have confidence, hell yeah. Now, play. Play is telling you that, you know, you need to start having fun. You need to go out and you need to start enjoying life, right? You need to play. You need to have some fun. You need to do something that is fun for you. Action. Taking action. I'm telling you, you're taking action in this situation, but it's like waiting. But, you know, I'm looking at confidence and I'm looking at the Fool. If you're making an emotional offering, you need to have confidence in yourself. I think for some of you, you may have a little bit of difficulty when it comes to communicating, you know, what you're expecting to see, though, too. looking at the Page of Cups, but then ultimately it's, wanting to have your wishes fulfilled here. That's what you're hoping for. But I fear that for some of you, you have unrealistic expectations when it comes to another person, and that's kind of coming back to the Five of Cups, where you may not really see what you want and it's going to hurt, but you got to have faith in the fact that, there's always a new path. There's always a new beginning. But again, you got to take some time to play and to have some fun, right? I mean, you can't forever be stuck in conflict. You have to make the decision to kind of set that aside for a minute and go out and enjoy life, right? Which can be difficult though, but needing to start taking some action to feel a little bit more confident in yourself. The internal struggles, I don't know. I still feel like for some of you, this is put on you. And you feel like there's parts of yourself that you need to improve and maybe you don't, but I would just be careful about the perfection that you're seeking. But we're going to take a look at Whispers of Love to see what messages there are for you guys in terms of love. Oh, shit. Actions speak loudly, express your love through actions. And then romance, lavish the one that you love with your personal attention and affection. So if you're feeling romantic, right, you need to start acting on that. Especially for those of you who are single and meeting somebody else, there may be a little bit of difficulty in communicating the emotions. Now, when it comes to those of you who are in happy relationships, right, actions speak loudly. You have to act. You have to act on the way that you feel. There may be a little bit of difficulty in doing that, but if you're feeling romance, right, somebody is needing attention. Now, that may be you or the other person here, right? But those actions are going to determine what is happening. And maybe there is a need for some of you to have a little bit of faith, right? Now, on the other hand, some of you may be being foolish, it just depends. But it doesn't look too bad. I just worry a little bit with the Page of Swords being there and then looking at death. But, again, actions, like taking actions, but having to wait to see how things unfold. And for some of you, if you're not seeing it, it may hurt a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like some of you need to kind of hang in there almost, looking at the Fool.